and welcome to SSW TV at NDC Sydney 2019. My name is Brendan Richards from SSW, and today I'll be talking to Rob Connery, who has just finished a great talk introducing his framework called VELSI. Had some great features in there, so I'll start by asking you, who do you work for? What's your general job role?
I work at Microsoft. I am in their Cloud Developer Advocacy Group, or Cloud Advocacy. And our job is to basically go and interact with developers out in the field and help them do their jobs better.
Awesome. At your talk, you introduced your framework, VELSI. Mm-hmm. Could you introduce that and tell us a little bit about it and what it does, what it's for, and
yeah, sure,
that kind of thing?
Right now, it's just kind of a bit of inspiration that I'm just following down this thing I've always wanted, which is to have the joy of building a back end be as fun as the joy of working with something like Vue and Vue CLI, building out the front end. And you have these frameworks and these plugins that you can build out these amazing front end applications. And it's so much fun because it's so fast and you can change your mind and your client can see what's happening and you feel good about it. But then, we don't really have anything like that for the back end. And so I thought, what can we do to do that? So this was inspired a little bit by Firebase, a little bit by other tools I've used. And so the idea is that you can build tables on the fly. They store JSON documents. You can tweak and change things. This is the database that basically will build itself based on how you use it. And when you're done, deploy it and you're good to go.
Awesome. So highly dynamic.
It's kind of, yeah.
So what's the back-end engine to make that happen? How does that work? How do you get all this stuff building on the fly?
I have a killer set of functions, man.
Yeah,
it's all functions. I just went nuts building out this extension on top of Postgres because I want it to work like MongoDB and or something like that.
But MongoDB is like a document type database, where Postgres is more a relational database. So how do those two things?
Well, not anymore. Postgres has a JSON-B data type now that is exactly what Mongo has. So you can do everything you can do in Mongo, you can do with Postgres and then some. It's also super fast. I think the only difference is that MongoDB has a much better API than Postgres. It tends to be a little bit more difficult.
So what you're really saying is with Postgres, we're getting the best of both worlds. You can have your cake and eat it. You've got a full relational database and you've got a document database all together in one place, and it can do everything.
Yeah, the only thing that's missing is a good solid API.
A solid API. Yeah. Awesome. And this is what VELSI is looking to close that gap.
Trying to get there, yeah. That's my hope is, yeah.
So you've got a bit of a demo of us. What's the first thing you want to show us?
I'll show you. So it's a real-time interface here, and basically this is the table that I used for the talk I just gave, and this is all the talks here at NDC. I scraped them offline, and this is right here. This is a Vue app. This is just straight up Vue that I use the Vue CLI to build, and this is just a document inside of it. You click it, it opens up, and then you can edit it, and hopefully we can just hit save. And boom, you can see record saved, and it gets saved, obviously. One of the cool things that you can do here, too, is, like, if I'm looking at record 88, let's go in here to the database. Sorry, that's the wrong file. So this is my NDC table, and I'm going to sort this in descending order. This is Navicat, one of my favorite GUI tools. I love this thing. So this is the obligatory real-time demo, but this is something, to me, is pretty neat. So if I go into, let's say, the body of the document here, and let me just find out where something is that I can change. Okay, so I just changed Christy's name. And let's see, I want to see if we can tell you what. All right, so if I just go back here and change it to what it was, and I go like that, and then it's changed here real time. I guess you can't really see that, darn. Yeah, so you can see her name. Her name has changed. The thing about this is I know this is just a real-time demo that everybody gives. But the thing about this is it happened within Postgres.
So there's nothing else, no Signal R, which is how I normally do real-time. So just Postgres to Postgres real-time.
Yeah, so I just changed Postgres inside Postgres, right? Or I changed the record inside Postgres, and then it rippled out to the UI. And it can do that because I've got my rad set of functions back here, which I can show you really quickly. So I have them in a namespace called VELSI, which is right here in the UI. And this is the way Navicat differentiates different, I said namespace, I meant to say schema. Public is like in SQL Server land would be DBO. Public is where everybody can access anything. But if you want to arrange your tables and your functionality in tight little namespaces, you can using a schema. There's also other reasons why you'd want to do that. But so inside of here, I have a bunch of functions. And you can see all of these. A lot of these I don't own. Some of these are owned by Postgres and PG Crypto and whatnot. But you can see that, let's see if I can find one. Here's the fuzzy function. I like this. I can double click it. That's a function I wrote. And so if I come over here, anyway, inside here are all the functions that it takes to run Velzy and the real-time aspect of it, which works on triggers.
Awesome. So you're using triggers to raise those events.
Yeah, a lot of people have objections to triggers. I had some fun with it in my talk today. People have objections about triggers because business logic in the database and reaching out and changing data when you shouldn't, and it causes problems and errors sometimes, and you can't track it down. But in this case, the only thing the trigger is doing is it's sending out that real-time notification.
So there's no data changes, nothing for it to break. It's just saying something happened. You might want to deal with it.
Yeah. So it's a fire and forget. Safe, yeah, exactly right.
So let's dig a little bit deeper and take a look at some of the features of Postgres that make this possible. Certainly, what I'm interested in are these data types around the JSON. So how do you put a JSON object into Postgres, and then how do you get the data back out of it?
Sure. So here we're inside of Velzy, and if I create a table here, and I'm just going to do actually a name. Let's give it the name. I don't know. We'll call it Brendan, and we'll do ID serial primary key. This is a pretty standard cadence for creating a primary key. Serial is just an auto incrementing integer, and then I am going to just have a column called doc. And I'm going to set this to be of type JSONB.
So that's your magic type for a JSON object. JSONB just says this is something special.
You can do JSON or JSONB. There's a few differences. JSON will have guards on it, so you can't put something that's not JSON in there, so it'll say no. But it basically treats it as text.
Yeah.
JSONB is a binary form of JSON. And there's certain things to it, like you can't have repeating keys, for instance. You can't have duplicate keys. So we can create this table, and now that we've done that, we can insert into Brendan. Let's see, we'll do the doc field.
You're missing a D there as well.
Oh, thank you. Pair coding, pair interviewing, values, and then this is where your things get a little bit funky. So when you insert into a JSONB field, you have to insert a string. Postgres will resolve that behind the scenes, or coerce it, as they say. And you have to make sure, of course, it's valid JSON, which means it's bracketed. It doesn't like arrays, as JSONB needs to be an object. At least it used to be. I don't think they've changed that. And then every key and every value needs to be surrounded by double quotes.
Double quotes, yeah.
So it's just quoting issues in there. And some people find this a little bit weird.
How many times do you wish there's a third quote operator? Because you've got a quotes inside quotes, you need a third one.
Right, yeah, I know. And that'd be fun to try and remember what that is every single time. Okay, so we can just put description, the person interviewing me right now. Okay, so checking over that, I think that looks good. Woohoo! Okay, so that went in there, and now it's just JSON in the database. So I can do select doc from Brendan. And so there it is. And so now we can do all kinds of interesting things. And so, I mean, this is the bare bones of working with JSONB in Postgres. The fact that you can store a document that's binary. You can also throw an index on here, so you can have special index operations like, does a key exist? Show me values where this key pair exists, and so on. The only thing you can't really do is like fuzzy matching.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. And that's one of the things that I try to address immediately using full text indexing. And so with Velzy, I have some triggers that keep things up to date using full text indexing. But that to me is some of the most fun that Postgres has. And if you put that together with JSONB, it's great.
Yeah.
Like for instance, I can do let's do 2ts vector. This is the way that Postgres will store or use text to search. That came out backwards, but 2ts vector actually will vectorize a text dump and then turn it into these things called lexemes, which is a great name. So I can say select 2ts vector doc from Brendan. Am I spelling your name right?
That's right, yes.
So these right here, this is interesting. These are called lexemes, and they're the core of a word.
Yeah.
And so what comes off of these things are what are called stems. So,
this is what Elasticsearch does when
Yeah.
it's kind of processing your text.
Yeah.
It just turns words into the base root of their words. So
Yeah.
that when you type for a pluralized version of the word, it's going to hit the same match, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly right. So interview is the lexeme for interviewing. Me is considered a noise word, so is now. The, obviously, so that's gone. And then person and right. And the number that's next to there is the integer position within the phrase or the sense. I shouldn't say phrase because it could be anything. In our case, it's a phrase. But so 3 is, or interviewing is the third word, person to blah, blah. None of that really matters until you start querying it. And because when you start querying it, you could use a single word, or you could use a phrase that has positional arguments in it, or you could use just a dump of words. So yeah, it's pretty fun stuff. But the best part to me is you can do, see if I can remember how to do this, create index, we'll just call Brendan search on Brendan. We're going to create an index on you. On Brendan, doc using, no, not doc. Yes, doc using gin. And then, nope, that's not right. On Brendan using gin body. And then we're going to say JSON B path ops. What do you think the chances are that I got this right?
Should the field be doc rather than body?
Yes. Oh, dang it. Oh, it's right there. Okay, now, how about now? How about now? You may be taking bets here?
I'll give that a go, yeah.
Woo!
Awesome.
So what we've just done is we've just indexed this document to be able to then search really fast on this stuff. And then if I wanted to, I could create, this is great. I could do, let's see if I can do this right. Alter table Brendan, add column, search TS vector. Okay, what are the chances I got this one right? Dang, look at that. So now what I can do is I can update that column, update Brendan, set search equal to 2 TS vector. And then in this case, I don't want to just vectorize the entire document. I only want to vectorize the things I care about. So this would be 2 TS vector. And then I have to select, from the doc, and I use the text selector, and then I pass in description. Oh my goodness, there's no way that I got this right.
But that's the key thing, that little operator there, because that's the operator that's drilling right down into your JSON document and pulling out the values.
Yeah.
Ripping those values out and putting them into an index that's then a standard index on your table.
Right.
So that's then fast indexing on those particular fields.
Oh, it's great.
So that's awesome.
All right, is this going to work?
I'll give it a go.
Darn! 2 TS vector. Oh, because I spelled TS vector wrong. Oh, of all the silly things. Okay, what do you think? Woo!
Awesome.
Okay, so now what we have, if I go back up in the history here, select doc from Brendan. No, I need to do select star from Brendan. And so what we have here now, this is pretty fun. You can see now I have stored the TS vector values for the search. I have stored them next to the document.
Yeah.
So all I need to do is to have a little trigger go in or somehow own the save process, and I can peel out the columns that I want for my document, and I can store them as vectorized searchable column.
Yeah. So that makes your indexes update automatically as you insert your data into your table.
But wait, there's more. So now what I can do, this is great. This is my favorite part. Create index, Brendan, I think I called this search last time. Really, I'm going to call this really search because I got confused. Create index Brendan, really search on Brendan using gin on the search field. That's one of the greatest things about Postgres is not only can you store the index, the search index, right next to the values that you're trying to search over, but you can then throw a speed index on top of it, general inverted index. So this is for kind of loose values, but it will go in and it will actually index those lexemes. So when I run the query, it's lightning fast. Okay, what are the chances? Woo! So now we are indexed for both the document and the search, and we've got a screaming fast table that is starting to get built out here for us. And now if I want to get really crazy, which I'm not going to do, I could write some triggers to keep this, like I mentioned before, up to date.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the engine underneath the platform. So basically, you've got the ability to dynamically create tables, wherever you throw in as JSON, the ability to dynamically search and index those and to generate searches.
Yep.
So the final bit is just building that UI on top.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So I got a couple things to show you on that one. I did want to show you one more thing.
Okay.
So what this is really built on is listen and notify, that a lot of people don't know is in Postgres. So to use listen and notify, it's a command, listen. And I can say, well, listen to the Brendan update channel. And so it's going to hand back a command. It's going to say, okay, I'm listening. And so here I can then say notify Brendan, and this is so fun. Notify Brendan update. And you go, this is weird. You have to put a comma in there, which I find strange. Hi there. Hi-ho there. Mate. And boom. So you can see we got an asynchronous notification.
So you've just showed me pub sub inside a database with no external anything else. It's just pub sub, just built in.
Built right in. Yeah, it's pretty cool. A lot of people don't really know this is in here. So the key is that if you want to work with it, you just got to find a driver that will respect that. And I found one in Node using PG Promise, which is a really cool library. In fact, the guy wrote the code for it and helped me put it together, which is pretty neat. So yeah, so let's, I want to show you the front end. And let's see, this is, I want to show you this first. Okay. Because this is exciting. This is how I built the database, all the functions and everything that go into it. So I have this scripts directory. This is a Node project, by the way. Yep. Just a straight up Node project. And I'm using that because I want to use the same driver and all the same stuff that I use to work with in the server part. So I'm using PG Promise and a Makefile, and I have all of the functions in here that go into Velzy. And they're pretty healthy. There's a lot of stuff that happens here. This is the save function. I'm not going to go into all the details. You've got the save function. There's a modification bit in here, so you can actually partially update a document as opposed to full-on wholesale updating it. Anyway, all those SQL files are in there. They get concatenated together by my Makefile, and they get concatenated together, dropped into a build .SQL file. They could then get shoved out into other projects and put in different places. And I also have tests in here, which I wanted to show people in case they don't think I'm crazy. So for full text, GraphQL, simple CRUD, simple query, all that stuff I'm doing, I'm making sure that I have some tests. I'm kind of proud of this thing. I really like it. It makes working with a database really fun. And I have some test data in here as well. But okay, you asked me about the admin interface, which is this guy here. And this is just straight up Vue, which I love. And I'm using Vue with Vuex and Vuetify, the Vuetify plugin. And so the one thing I love about Vuetify and Vue in general is this idea that you can go get these drop-in UI components. Like, for instance, here's a data table. Right? This data table is crazy. And it's not a huge declaration. You know what it reminds me of is ASP.NET from back in the day. Old web forms, where you had server components. Server components are coming back, man. That's actually not true, but it's close. But anyway, what it allows you to do is it allows you to work with some data. You can sort, you can search, you can do all kinds of things from within here, which I think is really cool. So that's the front end. That is what you see here. So this is all powered by Vue. And if I could just close that. Yeah, and so this is the data table I was just telling you about. Oh, and by the way, this search right here is live. So if I wanted to find a talk on self-care, you can see, let's see which one. This is the keynote. This is Heather Downing's keynote. So keynote, care and feeding of software developers. So that's a live text, text search that's ready to go. And again, this is all Vue powered. So to work with this, to work with the function set, to work with the UI and all this stuff, you basically just need to download and run the thing. And then once it's up and running, you have an API you can bounce off. You can use GraphQL, which is right here. And you've got these queries that you can use. So in here, you can list out tables and blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to keep the API as much as the same as I can. So the function names correspond to the root queries here. This is all typed to JSON. So there's no hard, I know that the whole benefit behind GraphQL is to have actual types, but here this just gets you off the ground. You can save data here. It'll go and create a table through GraphQL if you want, or you can use the REST interface.
Good stuff. So what's next? What's your roadmap for getting something released on open source, and what's stopping you from releasing it, and what's
right now the whole backend is wide open. Yeah. So yeah, this security, yes. Yeah, that would be bad. The backend's wide open. I am still kind of in the brainstorming phase. seeing what stuff sticks to the wall and what stuff doesn't. For instance, I have this whole thing, I think I just saw the query starts with right here. Doing a fuzzy search on a document it's really difficult to do inside of Postgres. I mean, it's not hard to write and to do, but it's hard on the database engine because you have to do full table scans. So I'm trying to address that by altering the tables on the fly. It's kind of crazy what's happening in the back end, Wild West stuff. I need to work on those things. I need to get the permissions locked down. And I also want to get authentication built in so you can store user information in here. And once I have a good handle on that, the permissions need to be solid before it goes out the door.
Yeah.
Once I get a good handle on that, I'll probably open it up and see if people want to help out.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah,
well, thanks for coming and showing us today, and thanks for coming to NDC.
Yeah.
You've been watching SSW TV at NDC Sydney 2019. Please subscribe to our channel, and thank you.